So even in Kenya, I assure you, that is something that we are now staring at. Unless you have a complete different economic mind shift, a debt distress is imminent. And there's nothing they can do about it. If you gave them 50 years, or you give them 100 years, the outcome will be the same.
Why?
The fundamentals and the foundation of Kenya Kwanza is failed economic policies. I've always told you they practice what is called demand-side economics. It can never work. You're going to see these artificially maintained prices collapse because the concept by which they are importing oil is not informed by the market forces.
Okay.
It is informed by a desire to make profit out of it. And the middlemen are forcing the Kenyan government to commit and overcommit beyond its capacity.
Well, a very good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Candy Talk here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. Of course, my name is Evan Sokinya, and I'm so glad to bring you up to date with comprehensive analysis of everything taking place in this country. This fine morning, I'm joined by Wakili Willie Sotieno, and we want to look at most important things that are actually affecting the country right now. Wakili, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Let's look at the recent review of fuel prices by April. Of course, we've seen some sort of a decline. For the first time, we've not seen that increase in the price of fuel in the country. And so far, we've also witnessed that the prices of flour is not as high as it was some months ago. Do you believe that perhaps for the first time, the government is getting it right, that we are heading in the right direction as a country now?
Maybe start by looking at the cost of fuel. Last month, the cost of Muban crude came down spectacularly from 96 per barrel to 79. Look at what April released yesterday. They used the Muban price of $93. It was 79. Why are they using 93? So there's nothing like you're saying that it's going down. No. Then the decrease is negligible. Because if you calculate based on international cost of crude, which is published for everybody to see,
yes,
the price will have gone down by over 50 shillings. But I told you last time when I was here, we are losing money and we are being fleeced in what is called the freight costs, freight and landing. That is where they do their top-ups to fleece the people of Kenya. That is still going on. Because if they had used 79, the EPRA's document by itself uses 93 as the base rate, the national base rate. It's not 93, it's 79. So you cannot say that things are getting any better. On the issue of wheat flour,
not actually wheat flour, but maize flour.
Even maize flour. We are talking about, we've had a harvest season. We're just coming out of a harvest season, number one.
Yes.
So obviously, market forces will lead to a reduction. Number two, most of the maize that is being shown to you, those are Christmas offers. Because it's not every brand. Those are Christmas offers. Some are what you call dead stock that have a short shelf life, almost expiring. So the retailers want to quickly dispose of them. Okay. When you talk about a reduction in the cost of basics, it should not be something that is done on an offer. It should be something that reflects in the entire economic spectrum. So despite or in spite of what brand of maize you're looking at, maize flour you're looking at, the price should be uniform within the permissible ranges. But here you have somebody selling for you 2 kg of maize at 100 Kenya shillings. In the same market, someone is selling for you at 215. It should tell you there's a big problem. Simply means the 100 one's an offer. If you check, short shelf life, they need to quickly dispose of the stock to reduce their losses. Okay. So you cannot use that as the base to say the economy is doing well. An economy is doing well when you look at the pockets of individuals, its citizens. Okay. How much money is circulating in that economy? How much are the people able to access money, and how much are they able to consume, spend the money in that economy? If you look at the spectrum of Kenya today, majority of our people are not able to participate in this economy. They are struggling to make a living. Many of our young people are jobless. The economy is not creating any new jobs. In fact, the Federation of Kenya Employers have said, as at November, September this year, they lost over 70,000 Kenyans had lost their jobs in formal employment, not informal. So we are not going to market a stable economy by saying that the price of unga has come down. Not everybody eats ugali. So that is not the measurement of a stable economy. In fact, remember last week, the Central Bank of Kenya governor went to Parliament. I mean, the CS Treasury went to Parliament.
Yes, I do remember.
And he specifically said, we are broke. We are struggling to pay salaries. Those were his words, not my words. I'm not even able to disburse money to counties in time. Governor Sakaja is almost being impeached. He reached out to me to help him. That's what he was saying. Then the following week, the President Ruto comes out and say, the economy is now strong and stable.
And of course, we want to get into that conversation about those sentiments by the president and the head of state therein. But then let me take you a little bit back to the cost of fuel here that we've been talking about. The last time we had this conversation with you, you said that somebody somewhere was making a kill, and that is why the prices were as high as they were back then.
Yes.
And then we also had this case that was the group that went to court to actually stop EPRA from revising the price fuel upwards. Now, I wonder whether you still maintain the kind of assertion that you made back then. And then also you could tell me about this kind of court ruling that actually was to compel EPRA to actually stop revising, or rather keeping the fuel price above 200 shillings.
I hold the view. In fact, if you look at the EPRA statement, it confirms exactly what I was saying. The Murban price is $79 per barrel. In the EPRA statement, so internationally, the global price of fuel has come down across the board for everybody. In Kenya, so that if you were to apply the reduction by which, because it's come down from almost 96 to 79. EPRA statement, they're using 93. They're trying to hoodwink us that the Murban price at the international scale is $93. No, it's 79.
That's not the case.
It's not the case. And I'm telling you, this 93 is for purposes of those who are charging us freight and landing costs. The middlemen who are fleecing the people of Kenya. And I assure you, we'll be back here. The mess in the energy sector, in the importation of fuel, is going to catch up with us. Because what has ended up happening with these artificially inflated costs of fuel in the country is that OMCs are not being paid the stabilization fund. Because the difference, you are supposed to pay for it. The stabilization fund is not paid for all the outstanding dues. Treasury has asked them to convert some of their debt to government bond. I think they took only 50% of it. The rest, they've not been paid. They are owed almost 20 billion Kenya shillings. The same government that is telling you it's broke now owes these fuel companies over 20 billion Kenya shillings in stabilization fund. KCB is almost struggling to meet its obligation on the letter of credit that was issued. So you are going to see a free fall very soon. You are going to see these artificially maintained prices collapse because the concept by which they are importing oil is not informed by the market forces. It is informed by a desire to make profit out of it. And the middlemen are forcing the Kenyan government to commit and overcommit beyond its capacity. When the government will fail to meet even a single of those commitments, then you will see the whole system collapse. So we are set up for failure, in my view. On the court issue, I believe that the hearing has not been done. There was a case filed by Kituo cha Sheria that they to stop. that calculation. I'm not sure if the court has concluded the hearing of that petition, still pending in court. Yeah.
Okay. Now let's get it here. The president spoke and he said that right now the country is on the right trajectory economically. I wonder whether you also buy into that. And the deputy president also said that the kind of mess that they found there was so huge and so big that cannot actually be solved in 5 years. He's saying that we should actually give the government 10 years or so. And of course, the president also said that after 10 years, we will not believe the kind of country that we are in right now. Now, let's begin from there. Let's begin from his first statement that the country is actually on the right trajectory economically. How true is that statement?
That statement is very untrue. In fact, the person who answered him is the CS Treasury, who in an address to Parliament specifically said, we are broke. We are struggling to pay salaries. And he goes further to explain to the members of Parliament who had gone on strike that they are not able to receive their CDF disbursements before next year. MPs were pushing to be paid the CDF disbursements by end of last week. They have not received it. Counties are not receiving their money in time. They are almost 2 months in delay. The country is broke. That is the person telling you that. The president, a politician, is telling you we are economically strong. A strong economy is not determined based on what you say on the political platform. A strong economy is determined by what the people are feeling in their pockets. How much are they able to participate in the economy? How much are they able to afford for the cost of basic goods and services? How much consumption is going on in that economy? And if you ask any Kenyan on the street today, everybody will tell you in unison that we are poorer this year than we were last year. And it's going to show. So we should not listen to political rhetoric. I always say that anything that President Ruto says, pre-plan with the opposite. Because there's nothing he has ever told you that this will happen, and it happens. Normally it's the opposite. Even when he says there will be no El Nino, the nature responds and El Nino sets in. When he says now we are preparing for the flood, the rains disappear. When he tells you the price of the cost of the dollar will come down to 115, 120, it's now at 157. Right? So what has he ever said that came to pass? So don't say that when he says it, it's the truth. And for the first time you heard him mention the word, we've overcome a potential debt distress.
Definitely.
He had never used that word before. For the first time he was saying, we overcome a debt distress. I assure you, the fact that he mentioned that word debt distress is now right here. It's soon coming to catch up with us. Because you are spending 70% of your revenue is going to debt servicing. The Eurobonds are maturing this year. A bullet payment of almost 300 billion Kenya shillings by June next year. Where will they get that money to pay for that Eurobond? Domestic debts which are maturing. Some people say that, IMF is going to cushion us. We've received some funding from IMF, some support. It will, okay. Ethiopia was with IMF until last month, telling us how IMF has pumped money into that economy. They're going to. Last week, the finance minister specifically said we are going to default. You should have said we are going to default on some of our debts, domestic debts. Ghana was the IMF 17 times through IMF program, 17 times. Last year, December, 2nd of December, finance minister says Ghana shall not, no Ghanaian shall suffer. On 24th of December, the finance minister says we are going to enter into what is called a debt distress exchange. So even in Kenya, I assure you, that is something that we are now staring at. Unless you have a complete different economic mind shift, a debt distress is imminent. And there's nothing they can do about it.
Okay.
They must just change the economic approach because it's 70% of your revenue going to debt service. And your revenue is reducing by the day. Somebody will tell you that KRA collected, they've hit the 1 trillion shillings. If there was all that money that has been collected, why is county disbursement delaying? And those are what you call first charge on the consolidated fund. Counties are one amongst the first charge. Counties are not receiving their money in time.
Okay.
Members of parliament are priority payments. They are not receiving their money in time. And yet you are claiming you've collected all this money. Of course, what is happening is very simple. It's politics. what they are claiming as 1 trillion target includes what in economic terms we call collectibles. The actual revenue collected, the interest penalties that have been assessed, penalties that have been assessed to be paid, and tax assessments which they've done to businesses. It does not mean that this 1 trillion is cash in the bank. This amount is totally what we call collectibles. What, based on KRA's estimation, is due to them, plus actual revenue and potential revenue based on assessments, penalties, interests that are due for those who have not met or paid their tax obligations in time. Otherwise, if you have 1 trillion shillings already collected, I assure you, we will not need the KRA to tell us or the CS Treasury to tell us. We will feel it in our pockets. Members of Parliament will not be on strike. Counties will not be having accumulating pending bills as they are accumulating today. So we are in a bad economic state. And William Ruto will not wish it away by saying that we are now economically stable or strong. Nothing will happen.
So you don't believe that is true?
It's not true. And my witness is the CS Treasury. I believe the CS Treasury more than I believe William Ruto. Because he said you were broke. Because if you had all that money, if you are economically strong, you will not have gone to Parliament and told them, I cannot pay you this year, I'll pay you next year. You will have told them, here's the check. We are disbursing money for CDF. You will have told counties, here is your back payments. We are doing well. But we are not. Because if you are doing well, just pay the money. Give, because these are what you call, counties are first charge from the consolidated fund, a first charge, which means once the money hits the accounts, first charge will be counties. You go to debt. So if the money is there, you'll be paying them first. Members of Parliament are in the priority list for CDF. They will be given their money in advance. But why are they not getting it? So it simply means the money is not there. I don't think CS Ndungu is a mean man that you want to ignore the priority payments when the money is there. Because it's not in the interest of my government to hoard money at central bank. It's in the interest of government for money to be flowing in the economy at any given time. So if he's not paying, then the truth is it's not there. It's not refusal, it's just not there.
So you believe the words of the CS that the country could actually be headed into a potential economic dungeon there?
Yes, yes, I believe that, and I urge Kenyans to pay particular attention to those words.
Let's look at finally what the president was actually saying, and the same words were reiterated by the deputy president. During the campaigns, of course, they talked of the first 100 days, things will have turned around and all that. Then it came to 1 year. Of course, we're now past 1 year down the line. The deputy president is now talking of 10 years, and of course, the president is also saying, look at the count and judge me after 10 years. Now, is it in order for the leaders now to turn and ask for patience from the Kenyans? And are you actually, do you actually buy that kind of argument that they need to be given that 10 years period to change the lives of the country?
If you give them 50 years or you give them 100 years, the outcome will be the same.
Why?
The fundamentals and the foundation of Kenya Kwanza is failed economic policies. I've always told you they practice what is called demand-side economics. It can never work. It has never worked and it will not work. Their fundamentals are completely wrong. I can give them 100 days, I can give them 10 years, I can give them 50 or 100 years. The economy will never change to the better. Change, it will change, but it will change to the worse. So even when William Ruto says that in 10 years' time, you will not believe the kind of country we will have, it's true. You will have a shithole, pathetic country that Kenya Kwanza will leave to the people of Kenya. But who has the luxury to wait for 10 years to see mess? Kenyans have a day with destiny when the next election is called. These people will default very soon here. Which sector in this economy is growing, if I ask anybody? Where is the growth trajectory? What are you seeing that the plan that they're implementing that will lead you into a stable economy? There's nothing. If somebody told you, give me 10 years, for example, if Kibaki told you, give me 10 years to revive this economy, and you're seeing a road master plan that is doing on infrastructure development, and what it will do in terms of opening up the country, you are seeing him doing his free primary education and releasing from parents the burden of paying school fees in primary school. He's giving them money directly, 3,000 Kenya shillings per child per term. they are able to spend in that economy. You are seeing him coming up with policies to liberalize the airwaves. You are seeing him coming up with M-Pesa, allowing M-Pesa to come in, to move, to ensure a quick movement of money from market to market, or individual to individual. Then you can say, I'll give you 2 years.
Okay.
Because the fundamentals in that particular case are very right. And you are seeing what will be the drivers of this economic revival. What is it that Kenya Kwanza is doing that will fundamentally, in the long term, lead to an economic growth in this country? There's none. So, Rigathi Gachagua saying that we give them 10 years, of course he's saying give us 10 years, then I will leave you with your mess. We'll leave you with a skunk to deal with it. Why 10 years? What's the measure and rod they use to determine 10 years? They are simply conning us to allow them to occupy the office for 10 years. Then they leave you with a skunk. What will you do after 10 years? When now the skunk is left to you? The Kenya Kwanza is not a regime that you should even give 1 year. Because the fundamentals, as I've said, are wrong. And anybody still entertaining Kenya Kwanza, even for more than 1 day, just know you are digging the hole further deeper. You should be very impatient with them. Because I've told you, their fundamentals are completely wrong. And there's nothing they will do that will change this economy to the positive.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is a word from Wakili Willis Otieno here. Definitely, those are his words. But of course, you've got that kind of opportunity to as well weigh in on this conversation, and you tell us what you think about the time that the government is actually requesting Kenyans to give them. And tell us, do you believe that the country is on the right trajectory economically? Well and good. I'm waiting for your comments down there, and of course we'll be more than glad to go through them. Allow me to stop this conversation at this particular moment, but of course, if you are watching us for the first time, kindly subscribe to this channel, and we'll be more than glad to bring you up to date with comprehensive analysis of everything taking place in this country and abroad. Till we have this conversation again, have yourself a lovely day. My name is Evans Okinyi.